Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at a team that I stole from my brother, who is also the regional champion of Barcelona, around the Shadow Magnezone. This Pokemon is honestly a lot of fun, especially now with Skarmory being quite common. This Pokemon has a lot of Pokemon to target, but let's take a look at the gameplay. This team worked out super well for me, so I can highly recommend it to you as well. I feel like Jellicent is one of those Pokemon that is really overlooked in the current time as well. So we're going to have the core of Jellicent as well as the Magnezone, which is nearly a flawless core. The only Pokemon that can break through this are basically Scrafty as well as Obstagoon. And yeah, we're going to have this Aesop of the Vigoroth having the weakness to fighting itself. Is going to allow us to get out a potential Poliwrath, while still forcing maybe a shield if you use your shield yourself. So you're going to be able to go like from a 2-shield scenario to a 1-shield scenario. But here we're going to also be able, if the opponent doesn't have a fighter in the back, to just do a lot of damage against whatever wants to come back in here. We're going to have the matchup against Superior now for our Shadow Magnezone, and we can see here that the Frenzy Plant is not going to be enough to knock us out. We can go for the resisted Wild Charge, and it does still way more than, for example, the Mirror Shot would do. And we will see as well that we're going to be able to use a shield here, and this next Mirror Shot is actually a CMP tile, which is super weird because we would have won this usually, but like I wasn't able to go for another fast move before. But yeah, we will be able to knock them out, and now it's only going to be our Jellicent against the opponent's Swampert. Unless they're at 100 energy, which they are not, we would be able to lose. But yeah, like this, we're going to be easily able to win this first game, and we can move on to the second one. Next opponent coming through, let's see what they're going to run. We're going to have the Skarmory in the lead, which I would have rather had in the back because it's going to be a great matchup for the Magnezone, but it's still going to be a decent matchup for the Jellicent as well, as we're going to be able to resist the fast move. I'm going to use a shield here just in case they decide to go for the Brave Bird, and this is exactly what's going to happen here. And as you're going to see, this shield was definitely worth it, as they're going to go into their Shadow Dragonair, which allows me to go for 2 Shadow Balls, and that's also going to allow me to get the second shield from the opponent already. So their shields down. I have a Magnezone in the back, which I can still keep the shield for, and shields down against the Magnezone is not really the smartest idea to do because, yeah, Shadow Magnezone basically one-shots everything in the meta if you get to a Wild Charge. So we will be able to just go for the full farm down here. The opponent swaps back into the Skarmory, allowing us to go for still 1 Rock Slide, putting them into around like 40% range there, and so we can swap out into our Magnezone, do a ton of damage with the fast move of Volt Switch. They're going to go for the Brave Bird, so Volt Switch does even more. They're going to have, sadly, a Wishcash in the back, and maybe I should went for the Wild Charge here already, but I decided to go ahead and swap out first into my Jellicent. They don't get the debuff here, which is kind of nice, and I can go for the Shadow Ball, which is going to be able to do a ton of damage. And we're still going to have a move start on our Magnezone in the back. They can still go for a charge move here. It's going to be the Mud Bomb now. I can shield this move up, and I thought I would be able to get to the Surf, but sadly I'm not going to be able to do that, and as we're going to see, you know, I'm forced to go for the Wild Charge. They don't catch the move, which is amazing for me because we have to get rid of the Wishcash, and so we can just go for the full farm down and win this game. Next opponent coming up. Let's take a look what they're going to run here. We're going to see the Lickitung coming in. We're going to swap out this time around into the Magnezone because I kind of want to swap out into the Pokemon that's going to be a little bit weaker against the Lickitung, because like Vigoroth is going to be the harder answer, and I kind of don't really want to go into this straight away. And like sometimes the matchup for Magnezone against Lickitung can be a little bit bad for the Magnezone, even though all charge moves are resisted. It's just like the superior bulk. But as you're going to see here, we were able to get a shield advantage, and I'm definitely going to take this one as I can go into my and try to go for the full farm on here as well. Dig is coming through and do some decent damage, and they definitely get still to another aerial ace here. I know that, but I kind of want to calculate it and just let this move go through. And now we just have to hope that our Vigoroth has enough in it to knock out the opponent. We know already that we're decent against one Pokemon here. I can still go for a Surf first to do some damage against the Lickitung as well. So now the matchup is going to be a little bit easier for the Vigoroth. We most likely just need some counter damage plus 1 Body Slam, but the opponent is going to stay in here for a little bit as well. I'm still not like the opponent's still not in the range for the Body Slam, so I'm not really gonna go for a charge move yet, and they have a Lantern in the back, which is okay, but not too great either. As we're going to see here as well, we're going to be able to go for a Body Slam against the opponent. This is going to be able to get some damage onto them, but they're most likely going to shield up the next Body Slam coming in. And my only play here really is to try to catch a move onto my Jellicent in the back. Otherwise, I'm most likely going to lose this game. So hopefully we're going to be able to do that. We are not able to, and I'm not even going to get off the Surf. So let's move on to the next one. Fairly certain I should have been able to get off the Surf though, but let's move on to the next one. We're going to have here the Swampert in the lead, which is exactly where we kind of want to face this Pokemon. If you saw the video earlier, or like yesterday actually, with the Charger bug in the lead. Like, I encountered a lot of water and ground type Pokemon, which was not really ideal. But here we're gonna see the Earthquake coming through. We're going to be able to just go ahead and let the next move go through. It's going to be just the Hydro Cannon. And so we're going to be in a decent spot, as we're going to be nearly up at 100 energy, and we can go for a Surf to knock out the Swampert. Yes, we're going to be a shield down, but they're going to have the, sadly, they're actually still in the back, but we're going to be able to swap out into the Vigoroth, and Vigoroth gets so fast to the Body Slam that the Charizard is not really the biggest issue here, and we can just spam them here with the Body Slams. I went up for a Rock Slide first because it's going to force a shield, but now we're still going to be able to, get one shield at least from the opponent. I can still go into my Jellicent, go for a Surf, but it all comes down kinda to what my Magnezone can do against the opponent here, I feel like. Going to let the next move go through here as well. It's going to be another Blast Burn, which is a smart play because I don't think a Dragon Claw would have been enough. But we can see here that the opponent swaps out just before they get knocked out by the Magnezone. But it does not really matter too much, because Magnezone has such a high attack stat that I'm fairly certain that I would be able to win CMP against the Charizard. And so what I decided to do here is I'm going to go up to, like, basically another Mirror Shot here, this barely before the opponent gets to another Focus Blast. And so we're going to be able to get the knockout here, and we can still reach the Wild Charge in order to knock out the opponent. And goodbye, Charizard. What an overkill was that. Next opponent coming through, we're going to have the Froslass in the lead, which is generally a decent lead for us. It is still kind of neutral. We do super effective damage with our fast move, where they do resisted damage, but they're still going to be able to get to their Shadow Ball at the same speed basically as we do get to our Shadow Ball. But as you can see here, the opponent swaps out into the Vigoroth, and I decide I'm just going to stay in here, because I don't really care too much about the matchup, and I don't really care too much about swapping out here, because my entire team is kinda solid against the Froslass. Like, we have Rock Slide on our Vigoroth, we're going to have the Mirror Shot on our Magnezone, so like, it's not going to be the worst one, and I don't really want to get farmed down there or whatever, so I decided to swap out. I know Avalanche is coming through. I'm most likely going to have to use a shield here as well, which I'm totally okay with. We have a ton of energy, and the opponent is most likely going to have to use a shield eventually soon as well, but they're going to swap out into the Lantern, which is kinda okay for me. I can go for the Body Slam spam. They're very likely going to use a shield eventually, because they don't really want to get too low with their Lantern, as you can see here as well. So they can go for the full farm down, but I don't really care too much about it. I just want to get rid of the opponent's energy, and I do exactly this here by swapping into my Jellicent. I will still get into my Magnezone, and I can actually get a free fast move in, which is amazing. Surface coming through, and I decide to go for the bait here first with my Mirror Shot on the CMP tile. So let's see if the opponent is going to decide to use a shield or not. They do not, and they just hope that Froslass is going to be able to win this game. But I'm sorry for the opponent. Magnezone is just too fast getting to those moves, and Shadow Magnezone is going to be able to knock them out and win this game. Next opponent, we will see the Deoxys in the lead. Great lead for us, but this matchup was a little bit tricky. I could have most likely played it a little bit better as well, but you'll see already what is kind of going on here, which maybe was not really ideal. We're going to see a Wishcash coming in. We're going to be able to go for the Surf here, and honestly, I think I should have stayed in a little bit longer than I did. I decided to swap out now to my Vigoroth, because Vigoroth does not really want to encounter the opponent's, Deoxys. And we can see here already, Scald getting the debuff is kinda, of course, fortunate for the opponent. It's kinda okay for us still, because we should be able to get them into another Body Slam range. But the second move is going to be another Scald getting another debuff. And this is going to change quite a bit. I decided to overfarm by a little bit too much as well, but Body Slam was at this point not enough anymore to knock them out. It would have been if like we got like average luck basically with the Scald, but we didn't, so the opponent was able to realign, and so sadly we're going to lose this game because of this. Yeah, I guess like the opponent got some nice luck there with Scald, but it's what it is. Like, I feel like it's kind of okay to lose those games, but I think it was definitely winnable. If I stayed in a little bit longer with the Jellicent, maybe went for another Surf, would have been way, way better for me, but I didn't, so this was also my own mistake. It was not always down to luck here, it was also stuff that you can play a little bit differently. Just, yeah, seeing your own mistakes is very important in order to try to grow in Go Battle League as well, but also, of course, everywhere else. We're going to be able to just go ahead and go for some Body Slams against the opponent's Altaria after one Shadow Ball, as well as some counters. We put them in perfect range for this, and look at this matchup, by the way. This is just beautiful. It is just amazing. We're going to be able to go for another Body Slam, but that's not all. Vigoroth is going to be able to survive the Dragon Breath with a 1 HP, getting to another Body Slam, and so we have Switch advantage, we have Shield advantage, we have our Magnezone aligned against a Flying and Grass type Pokemon, and they're going to have a Bastion on the back, which is going to go up now against my Water type, which is actually not the best matchup for the Jellicent, because they're not running Bubble. but it's still not the worst matchup either. I decided to let this move go through because it's kinda a Magnezone showcase here today, and we will be able to still go for a Shadow Ball. I have no idea if Surf or Shadow Ball is better. If you know it, like, let me know in the comment section, but I have literally no clue about this. But I know that a Shadow Wild Charge is going to do a ton of damage from a Magnezone, so we're gonna go for that, and I was not sure how much it would do against a Tropius here, so I decided to go up to 2 Wild Charges, and it turns out this was completely unnecessary because 1 is already enough and we can win this game pretty easily. A lot of wins today, but we're going to encounter one of the biggest core breakers, I guess, for this team, because it's going to be able to resist every single move as well from our Magnezone, which is going to be awkward, and they're going to have in the back the Deoxys defense. Something I don't really want to face, but yeah, it is what it is. We're going to see the Thunderbolt coming through, which is going to be a great play by them. Rock Slide, as far as I know, does like 1 or 2 more damage than Body Slam. I might be wrong, but I think I'm okay, like correct with that. I think Body Slam would have a 72 damage output basically, and Rock Slide has 75, so yeah, that's definitely kind of what is going on there. So we do a little bit more damage if you just get to 1 move with the Rock Slide, and we will see here again the Ferrothorn swapping in, and now it comes down if my Magnezone has something to do here, and they definitely going to have something to do here because they're going to have the Toxapex against us, and this is going to be a funny one because it can just go for the Wild Charge, get their shield from the opponent, and they go for their own charge move here, and I thought, oh, it must be so far ahead of energy here as well that I can just go up to another Wild Charge, and now I cannot. I just should have went for my charge move a little bit earlier, so we are in a very tough spot now because I misplay this quite a bit. I'm forced to go for a Mirror Shot and try to get them a little bit lower. I actually thought of maybe finding them down here with the Jellicent, but it didn't work out for me. I can go for the bait here against the opponent with the Mirror Shot, and the opponent decides to use a shield, gets the attack debuff. I will go into my Jellicent, they go for the Power Whip. I think it's undercharged, but it's not like, yeah, it's not perfectly undercharged because we will be able to still go for a Surf, which guarantees me to put them into Wild Charge range. I think he was in there before already, but Magnezone is cleaning up this game and we can move on to the next one. Like, we got completely hardwalled the last game. Here we're going to be able to have a great lead against the Gligar, which is, I mean, it's still not the best lead ever because a Dig is still going to do a ton of damage, as you're going to see here. Gonna put us still into the red health before they go down. But let's see here, we're gonna still get to the Surf, which is gonna do a little bit more damage, and I can still go for another one, which is going to force the knockout against the opponent, and I can swap out immediately as they're gonna go into the Lantern. They're going to have a Medicham in the back, which is going to be a very bad matchup for me. But let's see how we're gonna be able to play this one out. We're gonna still get to another Body Slam, which is amazing, and if they let this move go through, we're gonna be able to get them insanely low as well, which works out kind of well for us, because my plan here is, of course, to win this game with a Magnezone, and we will be able to let this Ice Punch go through. I can go for 1 more Hex, but they're gonna go for another Ice Punch, and now there should be kind of energy dry, and I can just go for the full farm down with a Magnezone, giving me an energy advantage, but we still have 2 shields on both sides, and you see already Spark is doing way more than I expected, and I'm at 100 energy at this point, and I decide to go for the Mirror Shot bait. It worked. I get the shield, I don't get the debuff, which is really awkward because now I have to go for another bait. And let's see, does this work again? It does work again, and so we can still reach the Wild Charge, knocking out the Lantern and winning us this game. Good game there. Final game for today, we're going to have the Belly Bolt in the lead, horrific lead for us. We have to swap out immediately as they're going to have a hard counter in the back with the Poliwrath. Like, literally, what am I supposed to do here? Like, those battles are going to happen eventually as well. Like, you're going to have always something that's going to hard counter you. For me, I thought this would be a smart idea to go for a Body Slam here again, try to get a little bit of a debuff onto the opponent. But the opponent makes a great play here. I definitely respect this, that they went ahead and basically gave me less energy that I could farm with my Jellicent, which is a very smart decision by them. They're gonna go for a Scald. They don't get the debuff, which is kind of nice for me, because like this, I can still go for a Shadow Ball against the Belly Bolt. So we will be able to swap out into the Magnezone. They're going to have the Skeledirge in the back, and honestly, look at this matchup. I did not expect it at all, but as you're gonna see here, I am actually going to be able to still survive this, and I can still go for the Wild Charge against them in order to knock out the Skeledirge. And so we're still in a decent spot, but sadly the opponent can just farm me down with the Thunder Shock, going to give them a ton of energy. I'm forced to let the first move go through because I know that they get to 2 discharge, and we just barely die on the move. And so that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed this one. This team was a lot of fun, and I see you in the next video. Bye bye.